outside of the fire station, and he was trying to take care of some fire station business, and he saw a young man next door in a little red wagon, and he had little ladders he'd hung off the sides, and he had tied this wagon to a dog, and he had a fireman's hat on. And the firefighter said, "Little boy, what are you doing?" And he said, "I am a fireman, and this is my fire truck." "That's a good-looking fire truck, young man. I'm impressed." And the firefighter got to looking a little closer, and upon inspection realized that the young lad had tied the rope around the dog's testicles. And he said, "Young man, I don't mean to tell you how to run your truck, but you might get better pulling power if you put that rope around the dog's neck. You might go faster." The boy said, "You're probably right, sir, but then I wouldn't have a siren." And that's a great representation of your church service this morning. Technology is not everything. Necessity is often the mother of invention, and one must be creative in figuring out how to make the necessary noises to let us all sing out and know that we're here. I'm honored to be here in this church. This feels like home to me. I grew up in churches like this, so I'm not sure whether I should behave or not. Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Well, we went down the street a little bit, and now we have a brand new building, and we have all the necessary early kinks of starting up. So I'm not going to tell you too much about where we should or shouldn't go. What I'd like to do is reflect a little bit about this community. A community offers support, doesn't it? It's an experience, and it's an experience that calls us to be our best. It calls us to support each other in our weakest, most vulnerable times. It offers hope, it offers encouragement, and it offers peace. A beloved type community like the Unitarian Church inherently values our worth and dignity, unity and diversity, world community, and the interdependent web of all existence. And it's aligned with the construction of an intentional, beloved community. In a congregation like this, fierce individualism is not our goal. That's interesting because most Unitarians I know are fierce in their individual opinions. And yet, our principles call us to put aside our need to be individuals only and bring that collective voice together to be interdependent. That's a challenge for most Unitarian bodies and congregants because they're so opinionated, hard-headed, determined, stubborn. Have I gotten to your word yet?
Resolute.
Resolute. Our task as members of this congregation is to create a unity and loving community where that's the rule and not the exception. So where do we go from here? So in 15 minutes or less, I'm going to give you 3 or 4 ideas that aren't new, but they're going to sound delicious because I'm saying them for the first time from this brand new pulpit. Beloved community means we are willing to face very hard times together. If you think this morning was a challenge, it's nothing. This is nothing. A little glitch, a little technical crap. Nothing. Nothing compared to what life throws at us, individually and collectively as a community. This is nothing. In fact, we shouldn't have even been ruffled by any of this. This is nothing compared to what's outside that door, to what troubles the everyday person every single day. How to feed each other, how to pay our bills. Who cares if a projector doesn't work? People are hungry. People are losing their homes. We have an election coming up where people aren't even clear about where the right or wrong choices are to be made. As a Unitarian community, we should collectively bring a sense of peace and harmony and reason and purpose to all of those conversations. I'm not worried about gnats flying about like technology. I'm far more interested in big stuff. That's a real challenge for human beings trying to make a peaceful existence outside these doors in our community. This community has an impact on the community outside of us. And how much we put into that represents our commitment to our community. So we're willing, aren't we, to face hard times together. Authentic religion. And this is a religious commitment. Whether you like to use that word or not, it is. Authentic religion is hardly ever sweet or comforting. Shall we gather by the river? That is not religion. Sounds nice, it's cute, it's fun, but that is not authentic religion. Let me teach you something. It's not. Religion is about standing up for what's right in the face of adversity. Religion is about being strong and not giving up. Let me give you the definition of religion, because some of you are astute and intellectual and interested in this crap. Religion is a personal, set, or institutionalized system of attitudes, beliefs, and practices. We have that. Religion is scrupulous conformity. Some of us are unscrupulous, but we are somewhat conforming to our principles. It's also conscientiousness. For the ones in the room who are not unconscious, we are conscientious. Here's the last one. Religion is a cause. This is a cause. A principle. We have a lot of them. Or a system of beliefs held to with ardor and faith. I love the word ardor. It's hardly ever used. I ought to use it more often. It was funny, you know it was. Willing to face hard times together. In 32 years as a minister in all kinds of church settings, this is the key to defining a church or a body of believers or a congregation. A willingness to fight injustice wherever we find it together and to stand together. And I'll tell you, without any shame, many churches fall apart here. Because they cannot bring those individual voices into a collective and stand arm in arm and say, this is wrong. This won't happen any longer. We can't permit this. Facing hard times together is one of the things that we should consider as we figure where we're going to go from here. Our community also means to bloom where we're planted. Bloom where you're planted. Have you ever heard that? Did your mom tell you that? While I admire philanthropic efforts in other parts of the world, charity begins at home. So many churches spend a lot of their money going to China and Haiti and Jamaica. Necessary and needed places, but their own roofs are falling in. Their doors are off hinges. Their own members are struggling financially. They're struggling in all kinds of ways. Charity begins at home. And I'm always interested in blooming where we're planted. We're planted here now. Are we blooming this morning? Hold up your arms. Let me see your leaves. It's nice to see you. Yeah. Bloom where you're planted. Find ways to make your community different from where you are. One of the things that I do in my work is I do not expect anything from people when they come to see me. Bob, this is not always easy. Because, you know, I like to expect that you're going to come and look a certain way and have a certain set of values and principles. But I've learned that the principle is to start where the person is. You start where someone is and you go from there. And they bring whatever they bring. Ever buy a car as is? Ever do that? How many of you are driving a car as is right now? Raise your hands. Go ahead and admit it. Yeah, there you go. Be proud of that. How many of you have married as is? Yeah. Don't expect change. That's not going to happen. You know, those vows are interesting. You know, later on, some people have told me in private and sometimes publicly that vow till death do us part was really them setting a goal. They're finally free. You marry someone as is. If they change, dandy. But you have to love them as is. And some of that stuff isn't always pleasant. Bloom where you're planted. We have to accept our circumstances as they are. Improve them where we can, but be all right with the glitches, like this morning. That's as is. We're fine. We're absolutely fine. Somehow we've managed to survive without technology. We're together. We're here. We're safe. Most of us are dry. The roof's not leaking. Most of us had breakfast if we wanted to have breakfast. We're doing all right. Really, we're doing fairly well. A beloved community like this requires a third thing, constant vigilance. It requires watchfulness to guard against behavior within the community that breaks the covenant. Let me quote one of the Unitarian ministers who recently said something about this. We must wrestle, not fight. Struggle fairly rather than draw blood. Hold each other in sorrowful times and reach outward in justice building and peacemaking instead of looking narcissistically inward. Number 4. A beloved community honors the laws of respectfulness. Aretha Franklin. R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Find out what it means to me. Respect means to literally re-inspect. That's what it means. It's a re-inspection. So Liz, if I'm going to respect you, I have to re-inspect you. I have to consider how and why and other ways that I'm going to reconsider your value to my life as an individual and to the collective. To re-inspect, to reconsider. We're going to be doing that next Saturday. We're going to be re-inspecting and reconsidering how to handle a registered sex offender in a societal setting. We reconsider and we respect people who have paid their price for their crime and have to somehow fit back into society. It's about respect for the earth. It's about respect for one another. It's about respect for our community, our animals, our plants. It's about respect. This is not an easy principle for us to adhere to. We have very strong feelings, difficult emotions surrounding sexual type offenses. I always kind of laugh at this because we're sexual beings in part, and yet we're always so stunned by sexual activity or some kind of sexual misconduct. It interests me. Not in a perverted sense of the word. We work so hard to try and be upstanding citizens and somehow crawl from the belly that we've come from as human beings and be civilized, and yet we aren't civilized in so many ways. Which is why I love Henry David Thoreau. I went to the woods because I wanted to get away from your idea of civilization, because you got it wrong. Give me a tree any day. Civilized humans sometimes baffle me. We have to learn to respect each other. People come to me all the time with awful confessions. Stuff that would make most people's blood just boil. Or maybe just ask them, please don't come back. I don't want to hear this. It's difficult material. I don't want to hear what you're telling me. This is horrible. It's a sin against humanity. It's a crime against nature. And you've done it not once, but 2 and 3 times. And somehow, as a trained clinician, but hopefully, as a good Unitarian human being, I have to rise above that and respect them anyway. You've just committed a horrible crime. How am I going to find a way to respect you regardless of that crime? How am I going to find a way to uphold your humanity anyway? I meet people who have tried to commit suicide, who are taking drugs, and I'll often say to them, you are entitled to make your choices in life. You are, in fact, entitled to make choices that I disagree with, that will ultimately destroy your body and your community. I don't have to agree, but you have the right to make them. So you empower someone and respect them. They have the right to make them, but of course the community also has the right to protect themselves. How do we do that and still respect? Interesting questions. Not easy answers. Maybe no one answer, but worth talking about as a community of Unitarians. Our beloved community means that everyone's welcome. No matter how attractive or how odd. A lot of odd people attend Unitarian churches. I keep track of these things. I'm a student of human behavior, so I look for oddities. I notice things that are aberrant. And I tag them as they walk out and track them with my GPS. I'm just kidding about that part. I like the fact that our congregations attract eccentricities and odd and strange, off-the-beaten-path types because I like that kind of thinking. There's a famous Hebrew proverb that says, hospitality to a stranger is more valuable than pronouncing the name of God properly. There's a lot of truth to being hospitable to strangers. Jesus said the same thing. He brought that forward in the New Testament. I was a stranger and you took me in. You didn't know me at all. We say in our language, don't we, that we embrace and accept diversity. Do we? Diversity can often be considered perversity, depending upon your frame of reference. I can tell you that I'm a very diverse person, and there are a lot of people who have not embraced me. They tolerate me. That's different. They put up with me. That's different. They do not embrace me, nor do they love me, nor do they feel comfortable in my presence. That's delightful. But I've reached a place in my own life where I'm not concerned about that need for approval. But our language and our principles adhere to the idea that we will not just tolerate diversity, we embrace it. We welcome it. We welcome it with open arms. Cheers. I always think of that. Cheers. You want to go where everybody knows your name. We'd like to think that we're that kind of community, that everyone here knows our name and loves us and embraces us, no matter what. Do you feel embraced? Do you feel loved no matter what? Raise your hands if you think you're eccentric. Never mind. I found something this morning during your meditation. While you were off pretending to meditate, I was reading something. Here's what I read. Be happy, young man, while you are young. And let your heart give your joy in the days of your youth. Loud praises. Follow the ways of your heart. And whatever your eyes see. But know that for all these things you will be brought to judgment. In other words, enjoy your life, but you might have to pay a price for certain activities. Banish anxiety from your heart and cast off the troubles of your body. For in the end, youth and vigor are meaningless. Old men know this. They relish the fact that they've realized some of the folly of what youth is supposed to promise. Where do we go from here? I hope and pray that this congregation has the courage to embrace, to love, to respect unconditionally. Love always ends up being the best answer. And I don't mean the eros, phileo kind, I mean the agape love. The kind that loves without any expectation in return. If it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, you've still done the correct thing. Thank you for listening. Thank you for coming to our new congregation. We will now conclude without technology. I don't think we should bring technology back. I think we're technologically far more superior.